This is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday and happy Canada Day to you all as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 205, with my special guest and co-host of Game Day Live, pucksandpitchforks.com, contributor, Vinnie Parise, chiming in after having that landmark bombshell of an interview with ESPN's John Butchergross. How are you, Vinnie? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Sam. I didn't realize 205. You've done a lot of Woo reports, eh? Speaking of Canada Day, dropping the A. Happy Canada Day.
I don't know what you're talking
everyone.
about.
Yeah, I'm all about that. So I love Canada. I love Canada Day. It's normally the free agent frenzy pre-COVID, but
Yeah.
Isn't that weird to think about? Like pre-COVID, we were already done with the draft, and today was like free agent frenzy, and then hockey was like officially done tomorrow on July 2nd.
Yeah.
A couple straggler free agents would sign by like the big boys. I think like Parise and Suter signed on with the Wild on July 4th. Remember that? The big July 4th.
Yeah.
And they did that. But for the most part, like we still got a lot of hockey left this summer, and it's July 1st already. So it's an interesting time.
Yeah, and it used to be the Birth of Nations week. It starts on July 1st, and it goes through July 4th, and the free agent frenzy was just awesome. It's like the time between Christmas and New Year's where you just do nothing. Just absolutely do nothing. You sit at home all day, you try to do nothing. And It's just like a hockey fan's dream. And speaking of fans, that's what we're talking about today. Devils fans need to unite because it's come apparent on Devils Twitter sphere, Vinny. Sometimes I take crap. Sometimes you take crap. Sometimes I wonder why you're taking crap for being positive. What's wrong with that picture? What kind of world are we living in? Just taking crap. There's a lot of crap out there. It is a crappy team, but still no excuse. And I want to make a point out there to Devils fans why we're doing this podcast, because it's important to us, and that's why I invited you on. Number one, if as a fan, if we expect our team to play like a team, you got to get everybody collaborating and all involved, because that's how you win Stanley Cups. Case in point, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Colorado Avalanche, they played like a team. And you've heard all the press conferences, the sacrifices, putting some of your differences. Some coaches have different philosophies than some of the players and vice versa. But it's all about playing as a team and the team concept and loving each other, because I pointed that on the Woo Report yesterday that Jared Bednar said the word love at least 20 times in his speech to the fans in that 4.5-minute stretch. And I thought to myself, that's a leader right there. That is somebody that commands respect. He's now got the respect of the entire hockey world after winning the cup, and his story coming out, starting from Barry Melrose's, camp to where he is now. And that's what I kind of want to talk about, the fans uniting, because, there's a lot of fans that bash each other, a lot of fans that don't like each other, difference of opinions. But when the fans unite, that's just one part of the equation within the entire organization of fielding a winning team. And you can't expect the players, if you show the players how to do that, what goes around comes around. That's what I kind of believe in, Vinny. And I want to hear your thoughts, because I just want to get that rolling about why we should be uniting instead of dividing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it from like a larger scope, okay? Hockey is very hard. Okay, I think hitting a fastball in Major League Baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports because you have to make a decision in less time than it takes to blink your eye. But other than that, the entire goal of hockey, it takes everyone. You have to work together, and if you don't, it's just not going to happen. And you look at teams like the Colorado Avalanche, right? They have their stars: Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar. But they landed Andrei Burakovsky. They got Valeri Nichushkin after he kind of struggled to start his career with the Dallas Stars. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare was with the Flyers when they stunk. Like, all these guys just... Darcy Kemper they win the cup with him? Like, Philip Grubauer got taken... He was a Vezina finalist last year. He got taken by Seattle in the expansion draft. They had to go out and get a new goalie, and they did. They all worked together. And you don't think there were Avalanche fans who were like mad that Grubauer was taken and they think Kemper stinks, but this guy thinks Valeri Nichushkin's going to come in and play really well, but this guy disagreed with him. But at the end of the day, all Avalanche fans wanted was to see their team win the Stanley Cup, whether you're right, wrong, indifferent. And there's just not a lot of that going on with the Devils right now. And, people always rip on me for being like the positive one on Devils Twitter. Well, look at my coverage of the Chicago White Sox. I've been hard on them this season. I've been borderline mean. It's because I'm actually genuinely upset with what's going on with that team. I think their manager stinks, their GM's a coward, and the ownership group is terrible. The Bulls and the White Sox have the same owner. They're the only two teams in their sports that haven't given out a $100 million contract yet. I mean, cheap. Okay?
Yeah.
But with the Devils, I'm positive. Why? It's because I genuinely believe what they're doing. Okay? I've watched other teams across the National Hockey League. Tampa, they won the draft lottery in 2008, took Stamkos. The following year in 2009, they were bad enough to have the number 2 pick. They got Edmund when Tavares went first to the Islanders. The Chicago Blackhawks, they won the lottery in 2007, took Patrick Kane. The year before that, they were bad enough to have the 3rd pick. They took Taves. Okay. And, they got Duncan Keith in the 2nd round the year before. And, the Colorado Avalanche, they got Mikko Rantanen, 8th, 7th in the Zacha year. They won the draft lottery in 2013, my draft year, not to brag. They took McKinnon. Okay. They got Makar with the 4th overall pick in 2017. It's all built from the draft. And that's what I see the Devils doing. Okay, Nico Hischier's the 2nd best player from his draft. I have no problem. I used to hard say, no, I'd still take Nico first, blah, blah, blah. I was wrong. Cale Makar is an all-world generational defenseman. I mean, there are people comparing him to Bobby Orr. Okay, the Nico Hischier stands were both right and wrong. I'm not giving up on Nico. I mean, captain of the franchise, 60 points in 70 games last year. Like, he had a really good year. Is he the generational defenseman? No, but guess what? Complaining about that isn't going to make the time go backwards and bring us back to 2017 and make the Devils take Makar number 1. Because guess what? The Flyers took Nolan Patrick number 2, and the Dallas Stars took Miro Heiskanen number 3. Now, Dallas isn't mad with their pick either. The Flyers probably kind of are. But, you can Makar would go first, and you can argue Hischier and Elias Peterson for 2 and 3. Like, that could go either way. Do you want the offensive guy who goes on streaky streaks and will probably have 5 to 10 more points this season? That's Peterson. Or would you rather have the consistent, 70 to 80 point guy, probably in his prime, 200-foot player in Nico? I'll take either argument. But the point is, the Devils got a very good player winning the lottery that year. He can be their Landeskog. Okay, and then 2 years later, you get extremely lucky again. And you take Jack Hughes. And nobody's arguing that Jack Hughes isn't the number 1 pick from that draft. I've never, Capo Caco went 2nd, Kirby Doc went 3rd. The only one that people will say something about, you get arguments for Zegras. But Zegras is very flashy. And, Jack Hughes is also kind of flashy, but Zegras is really flashy, so he gets a little more style points. But the point I'm trying to make is I enjoy what the Devils are doing. I see the vision. Okay, and that's why I'm so positive. There are other people that don't see it the same way. Okay, there are
Yeah.
plenty of people on Twitter that think Nico's a bust because he's not as good as Cale Makar. That's fine. You can think that. Did Jack Hughes light the world on fire in his first 2 seasons? No, but he did last year. Should he have gone to college like his brothers, like Bucci told me in the interview? Yeah, he probably should have went to Michigan for a year. He had 30 points in his first 70 games or whatever it was. That's not that good. That's not what we were sold when he played for the United States Development Program. But now they got Luke, who could run a power play in the NHL tomorrow if he wanted to, and he could sign to become a millionaire any day now if he wants. He's probably going to go back to Michigan for another year. Like all these smart decisions keep piling on itself, and they came in second to last place last year in the Metro again. But I didn't hate what I saw every single night. They blew a lot of leads. That's a problem. They get a goalie, they're automatically better right there. And, if Mackenzie Blackwood comes back next year and is that guy that we were talking about for like Team Canada, they're immediately better right there. Sharon Govich, really cold in the first half of the year. Really good in the second half of the year. We saw some nice steps taken by Jesper Boquist. Jesper Bratt was sensational last year. He was probably their best forward from beginning to end. Now, Hughes' best games where he was the best forward. But from beginning to end, Jesper Bratt was the best forward. I thought Heischer took an offensive step by a lot last year. Career high in points, goals, all of it. And a lot of it, the thing that makes me excited was a lot of it came after they came back from their COVID break. You remember the COVID break? We had a lot of game day. We had a lot of time between 2 game day lives.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a 3-week period there where me and you hadn't seen each other face to face. And it was all because of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. And from that point on, when they got back, they didn't win a lot of games. But, man, he sure looked good. He looked like Diet Taves in his prime. Okay, and Jesper Bratt looked like Diet Goudreau. And, that's another thing Devils fans argue about seamlessly. Like, this guy wants them to draft Slavkovsky with the 2nd overall pick, but that guy thinks you're an idiot for thinking that, and you should take Logan Cooley instead. Well, we're all idiots because Montreal's actually going to take Slavkovsky, and Shane Wright's going to be available for the Devils with the number 2 overall pick. But then you got the big guy who comes in and he goes, well, actually, they should trade the 2nd overall pick to the Calgary Flames and get Matthew Tkachuk back. Or they should trade it to the Chicago Blackhawks along with Jesper Boquist and get Alex DeBrincat. All of those things are nice sounding. But you're not an idiot for thinking one way or another.
I completely agree.
And we all have the same goal. Sam, what do you want from the Devils? What is your goal as a New Jersey Devils fan? You want to see them raise the Stanley Cup. You don't care if it's Gary Bettman passing out the cup. You don't care if it's Bill Daly passing out the Stanley Cup. You don't care if it's Nico Hischier receiving it. You don't care if it's Scott Stevens receiving it. You don't care if it means Zach Parise coming back to the Devils at 38 years old and them stitching the C on his sweater. You don't care who it is, what it is. You want that logo on the sweater. We don't root for players when we're fans of teams. We root for laundry. I know it's a weird concept to think about, but you literally are rooting for laundry. Did I stop rooting for the Devils when Parise left? That's my all-time favorite player. We have the same surname. Okay? I love that guy. I love that guy. But when he went to the Minnesota Wild, I started cheering for them a little bit. I still cheer for the Wild, but when the Devils became my team, that is the laundry that I wear. That is the laundry I represent. And I don't care how they get to that point. I don't care if they trade Jack Hughes for Adrian Kempe on the Los Angeles Kings. 1-for-1. Terrible trade for the Devils, right? If they made that trade, but I was guaranteed the Devils to win the Stanley Cup, I would drive to New Jersey from Chicago, pick up Jack Hughes, drive him over to LA, take Adrian Kempe with me back to New Jersey, and then drive back home to Chicago. I would do that if it meant the Devils winning the Stanley Cup. I heard that like a comparison. Someone asked Steve Dangle. You a fan of Steve Dangle? Yes. Toronto Maple Leafs guy, Sportsnet. He's like a professional fan. Someone asked him, would you trade Austin Matthews for Andrew Shaw if it meant the Leafs were to win the Stanley Cup? This was like a couple of years ago when Shawzy was still playing for Chicago. And he was like, I would get in my car and drive Matthews to the airport myself. Matthews for Shaw, like all we want is to
It's all
see
about
our
the
team
cup.
win.
It's all
That's
about the
all that
cup.
matters.
And in 2003, witnessing it, Game 7 at Continental Airlines Arena, which, by the way, Butcher Gross says Section 217 is, what's hockey all about, the fans up there. And I'll tell you, after winning, there was a lesson learned in the parking lot. It's all about us. It's not really about the cup. It's about going to the games with your friends, your family, and experiencing that. That's more valuable than actually winning the cup. But it goes hand in hand. You got to get the cup to know that what it's all about. Kevin, by the way, on the YouTube live says, "I see the vision," and I agree with Vinnie. There's other comments in the Facebook live as well. John Tanaka says the two types of Devils fans: those are old enough to witness and remember the Cubs, and those that there were not. That may be true, but we want to unite the fan base, and I'm going to make a point. Why? I believe in the seventh skater. I believe in the fan. The home fans have ability to dictate a game. Case in point, the Tampa Bay Lightning is still the premier or one of the premier teams in the NHL.
You got to
They
call them the
are
second
like
best team as of
almost,
right now.
yeah, almost a dynasty, maybe a dynasty. In 2020, and this is not on them, in 2020, they played in front of no fans. They won the cup. 2021 Montreal Canadiens were not exactly at full strength in their arena during the Stanley Cup Finals. They beat them. The Colorado Avalanche, their fans came out. They had a 21 year itch, and they had the taste of the cup twice since 96. They were a factor in that game 1 and game 2, especially game 2. It can change the momentum of a series. It can change the momentum of a game. But they were united. They were united. And all this talk about the Devils rebuild and pointing fingers at Tom Fitzgerald and pointing fingers at the ownership group, I'm guilty of it. But I think it's time to kind of put all those differences, petty stuff aside and unite and do what we do, like what we did in 2003. Even in 2000, in those days, in 95, uniting together. So that's the point I wanted to make and why doing the podcast. And you made some great points about the future. Yeah, I'm a little impatient, but I'm not going to tell my fellow Devils fan that you're an idiot for, drafting Shane Wright or Cooley or whoever, Slavkovsky, whatever. But I think the fan base needs to unite. And this is why we do this podcast. Do you know why we call it the Let's Go Devils podcast? Because it's the one thing Devils fans agree on. Let's go Devils when you chant that at the game. True story. That's how I came up with the name. It was very easy. I was like, voila, that's why. You can identify it as the New Jersey Devils, although I do get some spam mail from Arizona alums, the Sun Devils, and Duke as well. But nope, we're going to brand it as ours, Devils. And but Vinny, any last words before we go? Before this 4th of July weekend?
No, I mean, I just hope everybody has a safe 4th of July. It's always a interesting time of year. Free agency, the draft will be around. So, like you said, let's go Devils.
Yeah, let's go Devils. Let's unite. It starts today with the Birth of Nation Week, Canada Day, 4th of July. Lots of things are going on. I figured we'd do a podcast before we start to get into players, trades, rumors, all that stuff. We're going to be in breaking news form. And by the way, July 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern, Pasta Grill by Enzo's in Hackettstown, New Jersey, in the beautiful Mansfield section off of Route 57. The Let's Go Devils podcast and Hockey on Tap have joined forces and doing a live podcast as it's happening at Pasta Grill by Enzo's. Remember, the Bolognese, 4-0 when I eat the Bolognese. And I'm sure going to eat the Bolognese at Enzo's because that number 2 pick will be the X factor. You can see the behind-the-scenes stuff. Vinnie, I think you're going to be calling in. There could be a guest. Could it be virtually? Could it be at the venue? We're not going to tell you. You're going to have to find out. That's the tease. And also, go to pucksandpitchforks.com for all your Devils needs. When you get that itch on July 4th and you want to talk about hockey or whatever. But the Woo Report will be going on. But Vinnie, thank you for your time on this Friday morning. Now going to be noon. Dropping the podcast at midnight. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go Devils. Happy Canada Day, everyone.